Hi everyone, I thought I'd give a bit of an update now that Silver Snow has finished. And, whoa boy, with that, Fire Emblem Three Houses is, well, mostly done. Though now I am definitely leaning towards recording Cindered Shadows in February. That hopefully won't be too long though. So yeah, this has been a really enjoyable project. Three Houses is one of my new favourite games of all time. I'll go into more details in my final thoughts on the game, which will be a video that might come like this coming weekend or something. But essentially, I marathon recording this game for 2 straight months since it came out, and then I've been gradually posting the videos up until now. So, yeah, this has gone on for almost exactly 6 months. And that's something that I kind of wanted to talk about. I know that a lot of people love my Fire Emblem content, but I kind of need a bit of a break from Fire Emblem after this game. After, spending half a year on Fire Emblem. It's one of the longest I've ever done a project. And it being a blind playthrough too, so you can't really blame me for wanting a bit of variety and maybe not wanting to jump right back into Fire Emblem immediately. So I'm sure that a lot of you do want to know what the next thing that I plan to cover for the Fire Emblem series is, and right now it's between 3 games. Either a Fire Emblem 4 replay, a Fire Emblem 7 playthrough, or Tearing Saga. They each have their pros and cons. Fire Emblem 4 is a game that I really love, and it's also one that has had a lot of its characters appear in Heroes lately, so I've got a lot of voice clips from Heroes to draw from. It's one that's inner mechanics I love explaining, it has a pretty great story, I love its characters. Cons would be that it might take me a while to figure out how to record from an SNES emulator, because I have not recorded off of one of those in actually about a decade now. I want to know what the best resolution to record at is. I'd maybe have to make some kind of backgrounds to cover up the sidebars. Also, I would probably need to do a full substitutes-only run off camera. I don't plan on showing major footage from that because my main playthrough will be with all of the main children. It's just that all of the substitute characters have unique events that only they can do, and I would like to show off all of those in a bonus video, so yeah, I may have to do that as like an off-camera thing. Next, FE7. FE7 was my first Fire Emblem game, and it's one that I have a lot of nostalgic memories of. It's also one with a pretty nice soundtrack, I generally like its characters, and also, I know this is no reason to be doing a series, but I am probably the biggest Hector and Lyn shipper you will ever find. I would be playing Hector normal mode, not Hector hard, Hector normal, and Lyn hard mode, so no stupid tutorial. And yeah, one of the main reasons why I want to do it is because there's so many optional Hector and Lyn conversations that are kind of easy to miss, and I want to show off most of those. I'm also feeling like now might be a decent time to do the game because it feels like a lot of the hardcore members of the fanbase are moving away from the game and are actually starting to hate it in a lot of regards. And I was previously scared of covering the game because it was one of the most hardcore focused games in the series that had a lot of very brutal efficiency experts who love the game but would kind of tear into the opinions of anyone who didn't share theirs. Not to knock the efficiency playstyle or anything, it's just that I did find that FE7 arguments could get pretty heated, but again, thanks to videos like Mecha's one where he completely destroys that game's plot, it does seem that a lot of the more hardcore members of the community are not liking the game as much, so maybe it's a better time now for someone like me to jump into it. The downside would be that, yeah, the plot actually isn't that good when you really look at it, and a lot more people are criticizing the game now. It's a game that I still personally enjoy though and have a lot of fond memories of. If I did that game, I would be doing in advance an Eliwood mode playthrough as a practice file, and I would be recording all of the Eliwood exclusive chapters as well as the branch chapters that I didn't do on Hector's route on that one. Then finally Tearing Saga. This is a game that I actually enjoy a lot. I think it has a surprisingly very good story that was initially ruined by a pretty bad translation patch, but now the translation's vastly improved. The story can basically be summed up as, what if Kaga decided to brutally deconstruct the generic Fire Emblem plot? It also has a lot of god-dang-it events that I would love to show off, especially the Latina events. And it has some pretty interesting characters and gameplay mechanics. Downsides are that it does have a few points where it really drags, especially this one chapter of Holmes' Act 2 that is one of the worst chapters in the history of Fire Emblem, bar none. Like, if you think Battle Before Dawn is bad, if you think Silver Snow Final Chapter is bad, if you think all the worst chapters in Fates are bad, you have not seen Dark Beasts. That map is absolutely awful, and nobody should ever be experiencing that torture. On the upside, the map immediately following it is extremely cool from both a story and gameplay standpoint, so there is light at the end of the tunnel. Literally, because Dark Beasts is actually an inside cave map. Honestly, the main downside with me doing Tearing Saga would be that I guess more people want to see me do Fire Emblem 4, and it was one of the first games I did on the channel, and I never finished that playthrough, so it would be nice to actually finish that game finally. But all three of those, don't expect any of them until at least the second half of this year, if that. Yeah, I'm a little burned out on Fire Emblem right now, and if I do Cindered Shadows, I'll be even more burned out on it. So I'm going to be taking a bit of a break from Fire Emblem for the time being. So, how about the non-Fire Emblem front? Well, I'm still playing Trails in the Sky second chapter. You've just seen me upload the end of Chapter 2, but as of recording, I'm at the start of Chapter 4. Yeah, I've recorded ahead a little bit. I know this series isn't getting a lot of views, but most of you in the comments who've given these games a chance have really liked them, and I personally really enjoy recording this game, so I definitely want to see this through to the end. It's going to keep me busy for a while longer. So I might mostly focus on SC for a bit. For perspective, it took me about 35 hours of game time to get to the end of Chapter 3, and my first playthrough of SC, which this playthrough is keeping pace with pretty consistently, ended at 85 hours. Yeah, SC's a pretty long game, and it's a much more complete RPG experience than FC. I can't really estimate how long this will take, but at the rate that I'm going, it seems to be about 10 videos per chapter. Now, some chapters are shorter than others, but from the look of things, we might end up at about 100 parts by the end. Though it might go by quicker now that I can upload it more consistently. Speaking of consistency in uploads though, that is something that I need to talk about, which I actually haven't mentioned yet. So as of now, I am actually working full-time hours, so I can only record on the weekends. Which definitely limits things. I have still been able to keep up a pretty consistent upload schedule thanks to all the pre-recorded Three Houses footage, but now that I'm out of that, there might be some times where I can't keep up daily uploads. If it comes down to it, I may have to upload 5 days a week instead of 7, but I've basically got a system going that I think is working pretty well, and I should still be able to keep up the channel. But I do like having the option for buffer footage, just in case I'm not able to get a lot recorded. And now that Three Houses is gone, I don't have any other blind runs going, I don't really have that anymore. Or do I? I actually have one fallback option that I just started recording pretty recently. Pokemon Wi-Fi battles. Yes, I've actually returned to that. I'm enjoying Sword and Shield a lot more than I expected to, and recently they did a tournament where only new Galar Pokemon were allowed, and I've got 11 matches of that all recorded, and those videos are ready to go whenever I want. I found most of those matches really interesting. So I might actually go ahead and do something similar to what I did all those years ago with Pokemon Battle Revolution and later Pokemon X and Y, and just occasionally upload Pokemon Wi-Fi battles whenever I've got a team bred up that I want to use. I still really enjoy Pokemon battling. None of those will have any commentary on them, it's just the way that I've kind of always done things, but I might put my thoughts on the match in the description, and I definitely appreciate comments because I've got a lot to say about the various decisions that I make in these games. But there is one more issue that I want to discuss, and that is that I'm actually at a bit of a loss as to what game to play after I'm finished Trails in the Sky SC. That is going to keep me busy for a while, like I said, so it might even be halfway into the year before I get to that point. But I'm at a bit of a crossroads in that I have a lot of games that I really want to play on the channel in the future, but they're all really long RPGs. And I'm already doing a really long RPG in Trails in the Sky FC plus SC, and also Fire Emblem Three Houses. It's just like, I kind of want maybe a shorter project just as a bit of a break, but I don't really know what I can do that's short. I have a few vague ideas. Two of them are blind runs, one of which I kind of planned for a while, and then Smash World of Light happens. But being blind runs, I don't want to say what they are, because that runs the risk of people spoiling me on things. I had another idea to maybe continue that Crash Bandicoot 2 run that I did after Persona 3 and play Crash Bandicoot 3 on the Insane Trilogy. That game is definitely longer than 2 though. But, let's just say that I'm a little bit salty because I found a copy of the game at a very low price at a local game store. Didn't buy it because I thought that I might be able to get a better deal at post-Christmas sales, then went back during the post-Christmas sales and they were all sold out and remained sold out for the next month. So I don't really know if I'll do that. But we'll see. It all depends on if I'm feeling like I've had enough of a break from Fire Emblem by the time Trails SC ends, which might not be the case. And if it isn't, there are a few other games that I definitely want to get into in the not-too-distant future. One of them was Tokyo Mirage Sessions, but then Encore came out, and I kind of need to wait for the new content in Encore to be fully analysed. Because if I know anything about Atlas re-releases, it's that they actually love altering the learn sets of characters. Seriously, there's a ton of differences between vanilla P4 and P4 Golden. So I'm expecting something similar here. In terms of the information that I need to research, the game is probably deceptively different to the Wii U version. So I have no choice but to wait until more information is known about all of the new content specifically. And as much as I really love the Trails series and absolutely plan to cover every Trails game on the channel someday, I don't want to launch right into another Trails game after Sky FC and SC. Because I went to Cold Steel is even longer than those games. Each individual game in that arc is about 100 hours, and there's 4 of them. And Sky the Third, I honestly feel it's better to take a break between Sky SC and the Third, because not only is the Third a much more self-contained story, it's also the perfect refresher game to get back up to speed on the Trails in the Sky cast before the later games in the series. So, another case of games that I want to do, but I can't do immediately. Weirdly enough, one of the next major things that's looking like I might want to do it soon is Persona 4. And yeah, you can see why I have a problem, because that's also a gigantic RPG that would take ages. But Persona 4 is a game that I'm definitely leaning more and more towards playing the more I think about it. Firstly, it's a lot less popular now than it used to be, so it doesn't quite have that stigma that it used to have, because that stigma's transferred to Persona 5. So this game used to be LP'd a ton on YouTube, it's not really anymore. And I feel like there is a legitimate niche that an LP of mine could fill, because I have thoughts in that game that are very different from a lot of people who play it. I find, and not to criticize any other LPs of Persona 4 out there, but I do find the majority of people I see play it treat the game as wacky, light-hearted anime waifu hijinks. While I think there's actually a lot to the psychological symbolism if you really look at it, and some of the themes that the game deals with are not only a lot darker than most people realize, they're actually even more relevant to modern society than they were when the game came out. Let's just say there's a reason why a game that's major theme is the truth has its dungeons set inside television. And also, I really want to do bios for the party members' personas and ultimate personas and do mythological research. That was one of my favourite elements of doing Persona 3. A couple of problems would be that I need to get hold of a PlayStation TV and a copy of the Vita cartridge in order to record it. And another thing, I have not ever beaten Persona 4 myself. I've played the first quarter of the game, I've watched several Let's Plays of it in full, and I've watched the entire anime, but I've never physically beaten the game myself. So I would need to obviously do that just to familiarize myself with the game, and also maybe to build my own schedule, because as much as I would really want to follow the Max Social Link guide by the same person who did the P3 one, it puts off Kanji's social link for a really long time, and Kanji's a great character, I don't want to do that to him. So I'm going to have to see if I can shuffle around some dates just so I can do Kanji's link earlier. I wonder if anyone's actually made a Persona 4 calendar that you can, like, interact with and build your own social link schedule on. That'd actually be pretty useful. So that's another thing that might happen later this year, but I'm also not completely sure. Like I said, I'm in a bit of a weird place where I have a lot of games that I know I want to play at some point, I'm not sure when I want to play these games. But hopefully by the time Sky SC finishes, I should have a better idea of what I want to do next, and I hope you continue to enjoy my videos. I will continue making them, and I will see you next time for actually a few things. Firstly, I deliberately delayed the end of Silver Snow a few days just so it would coincide better with Byleth being in Smash, so I will be doing that and Byleth Spirit Board. And there are also a few My Thoughts On videos that I want to get out, not just on Three Houses, and I'll also do this Three Houses character sorter, but also my thoughts on Pokemon Sword and Shield, which might be a bit interesting to some people, and my thoughts on Persona Q2, which would have come much earlier, except that I got completely distracted from that game by Three Houses, and have only just yesterday finished it. So look forward to that, and I will see you all next time.